Welcome back, guys. This is the first video in a series for the 2024 National. I'm not going to do your generic tips and tricks video. Today, I have Matt, who's been to a bunch of Nationals, and we're going to be covering some of the top pickups that we have grabbed at some of these shows. I think this is my fourth or fifth National. I believe my first one was 2019. How about you?
Mine was either 2014 or 2013. I can't remember which one of those. One of those 2 years. Probably 2014 if I had to guess. But have been here. I did go to the last Cleveland show, so I have been to a Cleveland show before. I don't think you probably haven't, because that was before.
I have not been to Cleveland. No, I've been to Chicago. Was it like 2 or 3 times? And then let's say about Cleveland.
Cleveland was good. I mean, some of my pickups from Cleveland before are here. Now they did tear down the IX Center and rebuild it, so apparently it looks much nicer than it did before. Cleveland was not a spot that people seemed to love last time, but hopefully it's a little bit better now. They literally tore down the building and rebuilt it, so it should be a little bit of a nicer venue. I didn't mind it. I think it's fine. It's drivable for me, so that's always good. So I don't have any problems with that.
Yeah, I'll be excited to see the new location. Although I've been to Cleveland for shows, it's essentially where the Strongsville card show is, a little bit outside of it. But yeah. I still like Chicago as my favorite so far. There's so many things to do and a lot of great food and concerts always during the National.
Yeah, Chicago's it's going to be the main one. I'm honestly surprised they go anywhere else other than Chicago. Just considering the attendance, pretty good.
Absolutely, but the theme of this video is going to be kind of our top 10 pickups across the different years. And what I'll be doing, I'm not going to share every single card right now. I'll put the images on the screen so that way we can talk about it. And considering the pickups, the thing is with card shows, you pick up cards, you sell them. So included this top 10 are cards that we may no longer have or we've upgraded over time. Maybe you didn't upgrade it at the National, you upgraded at another card show or bought one off of an auction house or eBay. But it still fits in the theme of kind of what you can expect to find at this show. And I'm going to start off and kind of explain some stories. I'm going to pair kind of my first two cards together because I actually picked this up from a YouTuber. And I picked these up from Orlando, A Collector's Dream. But they're two N162 Goodwin champions. Two that I wanted to get for a while. We have Isaac Murphy and then also Buffalo Bill. Now, if I remember correctly, my Isaac Murphy is a 2.5 and the Buffalo Bill is a 4. Isaac Murphy is a very famous horse jockey, one of the first African-American famous athletes. And think about it, this is the 1880s when this card was issued. I mean, it's pretty early, right? And then Buffalo Bill, famous for the Wild West, and getting these in good grades as well. I would consider a 2 a pretty good grade on the Goodwin Champ set, but also getting a 4 on the Buffalo Bill, which I consider one of his better cards. I traded some vintage baseball for. I want to say I traded a 48 Yogi Berra Bowman, a 52 Topps Berra, and then some cash. And both those are in my PC, and I will be until I upgrade them in the future.
Nice. Well, I have 8 of my items in front of me, so I can actually show the items, which I think will be kind of cool. I will note before I show them that some of these were things I picked up privately. Like you said, these were not things that you could have walked around the show and just seen, because some of these people are going to go, I've never seen that at a show. That's fair. You didn't have any opportunity to buy it.
And I'll say that's the best way to buy at the National. Don't get me wrong, you have tons of dealers there and they have some great inventory. If you're looking for 50s through 70s baseball or some pre-war baseball, you're going to have a field day there. But if you want to find stuff that's kind of really unique, you're going to have to network. And most of these connections that I've picked up cards from, these are people I met before the National, but the National is a great central place where everyone meets up and you can exchange and trade cards.
Yeah, people are, just by the nature of it, people are generally looking to make deals. There's a lot of people that go to the National to sell some of their stuff to buy other stuff or have more budget and things like that. So it's generally a good place to just make deals in general. My first item, I'm going to start easy and sort of low, I guess, but it's the 1960 Topps PSA 7 Roberto Clemente. I included this because it is an insane copy. I'm going to see if I can get it to show.
Maybe tilt it a little bit because of the glare.
I'm trying to show the centering a bit.
It looks phenomenal. That
But it
center.
is a ridiculous copy. I was just going through, normal stuff. It was in one of the cases. It was priced literally just at comp, and I bought it instantly. It's one of the nicest sevens I've seen. I did have this card before, I think in a 4. I've sold it. Didn't need it anymore. This was one of those ones where I was like, this just stopped me in my tracks. It was just an incredible 7.
Have you thought about doing a PSA second opinion on that? Because you can pay a little bit more and they might be able to bump it.
Well, what I am doing is I am bringing it with me to the National to take it to PWCC and NBA Diamond to see if I can either get an eye appeal sticker or the diamond sticker on it. They will usually just give you, honestly, an appraisal there if they think it's going to pass or not. So I am bringing this with me to get one of those stickers on it, as I believe it, of course, warrants that.
Now, what I will say is the stickers. I just saw some information earlier this morning. Fanatics Collect, since they just rebranded PWCC, they're doing a whole new standards on their stickers. So they're no longer going to have PWCC eye appeal stickers. They want to have people rebring in their old PWC stickers, give them brand new stickers on top of that if they think it hits that criteria. So I don't know if they're going to be doing that at the National, but definitely worth a shot to see.
I believe they said that they are still willing to give those out, but there is a cutoff date for when you can do PWCC eye appeal stickers versus their new one that they have. I just want to bring this and see if I can get some stickers added to it for a value perspective.
Oh, 100%. Do they allow both? You get one PWCC and one NBA?
They do. They absolutely. One of the items I'm bringing, which isn't a natural purchase, already has a PWCC S sticker. I'm going to be bringing it to see if I can get a gold NBA on it as well. Just honestly for fun. I think it would look cool.
And out of curiosity, and not to derail this video, what does PWCC charge for those stickers?
They actually don't, in theory, charge anything. They give you the sticker when you put an item in the vault or you put it up for sale through one of their auctions. Now, I've heard that if you go to them and say, hey, I want to put this in the vault at the National, and then just take it out right there, that you can just have them do the review, but they actually don't charge for those stickers. It's anytime it goes into a vault or it goes up for sale.
Oh, that's actually a pretty funny workaround.
That's what I was planning on doing. Because they take vault submissions, I'm gonna see if I can just pull it back out just right there. I mean, I just want you to review it, and if they do that on site, then I'll just take it out at the end of the show.
I like that idea a lot. If that works, I might do it next year. Grab some stuff. How about you go another item, because my next one is another pair too.
Let me see. Another item I bought at the National, I believe this is 2016, maybe 2015, is this Carl Hubble rookie, 1929. I can't remember what these are called, just R315s. I bought this raw at the National. It graded a 3 once I submitted it. I don't want to tell you what I paid because it was practically nothing.
No, you need to say what you paid.
I paid under $100.
That's a steal.
At the time, which was nice. So I paid under $100. It was just in a booth. This is 2015, 2016. This is a little bit of a different market. Once I realized how much these have gone up, I graded it. I honestly hadn't thought about it in years, but I just graded it. Came back at 3. I thought it was going to give me a 4. I'll take the 3. It's a nice card.
What do they go for now, out of curiosity? About 3-ish. I know we were looking at the one auction to see if one ended.
It's like I'm gonna get cooked when I say this. I think it's $1,000.
Nice.
I think something like that.
The next hobby there.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great price even back then, and it was an even better price now. All things considered, but pretty nice. I definitely like it.
Sweet. All right, so I hate to bundle 2 more cards together, but I picked them up in the same exact deal. So from making the YouTube videos, people know I collect a little bit of cricket cards. It's not my main focus, but I think they're kind of cool. It's sport very similar to baseball, and it's a lot of foreign issue cards, which I love foreign issue. So someone reached out last year, I want to remember correctly, and they had a bunch of different cricket and foreign issue cards. So I picked up a nice little stack. Some of them I sent off to consignment to pay for the rest of the cards. 2 of them I kept a lot more than 2, but the 2 that I'm going to highlight here, we have a Reeves chocolate of Jack Hobbs. Jack Hobbs is probably kind of like a Ty Cobb of cricket for back then, like how good he was. And the Reeves Chocolate isn't an easy card to find, so it's pretty scarce. I believe the year was 1912. And then the other one I picked up was a Philip Skinny Gold of Victor Trumper. Trumper is another one of those like top 5 players back in that era, so kind of like that Tris Speaker level. One of Australia's best cricketers of all time, behind Donald Bradman. And I really wanted to get that Philip Skinny for a while, but I lost on a bunch of eBay auctions for that specific card. So I was able to pick up it. They weren't as nice as the eBay auction ones that I lost on, but at least to have a copy in my collection. And the Philip Skinny Gold remind me a lot of the Ogden's cards with those black borders. So you're not always going to find them in nice shape.
Cool. No. Let's see what we got next here. This one I actually picked up last year. For those that either follow me on Instagram or something like that, you know that I collect 1959 football in 8s or better. I'm nearly done with the set. I think I have 17 cards left. I was wandering around the modern section, just was bored and wandering around, and a modern dealer had this Alex Karras in a 9 sitting in his booth, which I had been looking for quite some time. I didn't have his card at all. It was priced at about 70% of comps, so I instantly bought it. He honestly said he didn't know too much about it, which was sweet. Said it was, a Hall of Fame rookie, but that was kind of it. And I picked it up. I mean, it was one of my bigger pickups from the National last year. I was quite honestly just stunned to see one in the wild because the pop of his 9s, I believe, is probably around 20 or so. Most of them around 20. So it was just sweet just to see that in the wild, and I bought it instantly.
Nice. Do you expect to find any this year for your set build or any upgrades, or kind of like iffy?
I mean, I'm sure the one that I do still need is the Johnny Unitas. I've just held off on buying it. It comes up all the time. I'm sure I'll see it at the National. I just quite honestly haven't wanted to spend $2,000 on that card. So I'm sure I'll see it. Maybe I'll see some commons. I usually don't see commons in 8s and up. You just don't find those too often at shows. I think I usually find like maybe one a year. I'll have to check my list, but I believe I have all commons left and then just Johnny Unitas. So that's really all I have left there.
And if anyone has any leads, hit us up. That way you can complete that set.
Yeah, we're close. We're getting there.
How about you do another one since I did too?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot you did too. Let's see what we want to do next. We'll do this one. This one's cool. I picked this up. Think Chicago. I had kind of already knew it was going to be there. One of my buddies was selling it and he was setting up. So I knew this was going to be here. This is the 1963 Hood Dairy Bob Cousy. It is signed. As you can see, it's a 3 with a 10 auto. Hood Dairy is just a rare oddball set, regional to the Boston area. It's a pop 5 total. I believe it's pop 2 at the 3. I think there's 2 higher. I knew it was going to be there. I got a very nice price on it. Good deal, everything like that. But it was one that I didn't know was going to be there. I hadn't already set up the deal, but I knew I would see it lurking in the wild there, and I was able to snag it.
It's a great one. Speaking of a very tough issue to find, my next one's a W590 Jack Johnson. Funny enough, that was the card that you pointed out at Ashisha's table. The one I think he had it in a 4 though. But luckily, so someone that was watching the YouTube channel, Gatlin, and I met him at the National a few times. He saw that in a dealer display case. He's like, "Do you want this Jack Johnson card? Know that I collect boxing." Like, absolutely. The W590 is a super tough card. I want to say that there's like less than 5 or 6 of those. So I was able to pick that one up fairly cheap, I thought, and then got it slabbed quite a while later by SGC, and it came back a 1.5. But if you're not familiar with the W590 set, they are strip cards. They made them across multiple sports. Baseball, I wouldn't say they're common, but like they're the easiest to find of the different sports. Once you go into different alternative sports, even like football or boxing or like Olympics, you're not finding them that often. Like usually they're pop 1 or pop 2. So when you see one out in the wild, you got to pick it up if you can.
Yeah. Cool. Let's see what we have next. I had one that I actually just thought of, but I hadn't thought about in a while, but I actually wouldn't mind showing.
Yeah, you're good with that. We can throw an honorable mention, each of us.
This is actually one of the big pickups that I've had in Natty. So let me see if I can find it. Yeah, I got it. Cool. Let me see here. This was honestly just random. This was probably 2019, maybe 2020. For those that know, I love Bread for Health and Bread for Energy cards. They were essentially labels put on the end of the bread loaf boxes. Bread for Healths were produced in 1950. Bread for Energies were 1951. They are a multi-sport and non-sport. We've talked about, they have John Wayne and different people like that. I found this signed Bulldog Turner at the National. I honestly was stunned when I came across it. SGC doesn't track the pops for the signed stuff, so I don't know what the population is. I had never seen a signed one before. The price was just a little bit more than it goes for not signed, so it was like a no-brainer when I saw it. But yeah, this is definitely one of my favorites here. This Bread for Health Bulldog Turner, very nice pickup. It was already graded and everything. It was just sitting there in the case, so it was a pretty sweet grab.
I can't believe you found that at the National.
It was later in the day too. People passed it over, which was nuts to me. I think the knowledge at that point around the bread labels was less. I mean, unless you really follow those, it's grown a little bit these past couple of years. But I think this was 2019, maybe 2021, maybe. But it was a no-brainer to me. I bought it the second I saw it. I'd never seen one signed actually out in the wild.
I still think, though, the general public has no idea what most of those are. As sad as it is, I mean, you could go around to even people that just collect 50, 70 stuff. You show them, they may know the baseball cards, but not realize that.
There are people that seem to know the baseball ones because they did make a lot of the baseball ones. They were much more produced than the non-sport and the other ones. Bread for Healths are much more common than Bread for Energies. We will see some in a second. They're about 20 times rarer, the Bread for Energies are, than the Bread for Health. So I was surprised to find one signed at all. I've never seen one before that. So that was honestly a pretty sweet pickup.
No, absolutely. My next one on this list is a Duke, and I'm probably going to mispronounce his last name. It's like Kanmanaku, famous surfer from Hawaii. Also kind of like a famous non-sports historical figure. But I picked up his 1922 Felix Podin in a 4. Now, the only reason why I was able to get this deal done, I had a 2 in my collection. I actually picked it up a few months earlier when I went over to the UK National Card Show. And I got a 2. I was super happy with it. And someone reached out and said, I'm selling a 4. So I had to go out and find a buyer for the 2. And actually another YouTuber purchased my 2. Forget his channel name on top of my head. But he collects his cards and he didn't have the Felix Podin. And just for kind of a ranking factor of Felix Podin sets, the 1922 Felix Podin tends to be the toughest of the 4 out there. You can always find 1900s, 1908s, somewhat scarce. 1952 used to be pretty scarce, but a ton have hit the market within the last year or so. No idea how, but a bunch of them have been uncovered. 1922, for some reason, not much out there. And it has a lot of historical figures and other people in there. There's a Jack Johnson in that set, which goes for like $1,000 or $1,500. But the Duke is the best one in that 1922 set, at least to my opinion. And it was a nice little upgrade into my collection.
Nice. Let's see what we want to do next here. Oh, this is a fun one. I believe this was 2 years ago. 2 years ago was 2 years ago was Atlantic City.
Yes.
Right. So then it was definitely the year before that. So 2021. I once again was scouring around and I found a raw signed Bread for Health. At that point, I hadn't seen any of them signed. But I found one that was raw. It is this Charlie Trippy. See if we can get that with the light. It was this Charlie Trippy. It was raw. It was honestly barely more than the unsigned. Unsigned at that point were around $150. I think I paid $200 for it. It was raw, so I was taking a gamble. An older gentleman just had it in his case, nothing that was set up before that. I had it graded last year, and it came back as authentic. It's the only signed Charlie Trippy in the PSA database. It's the only signed Bred for Health at all in the PSA database. My other one is SGC. So that was a pretty awesome find for $200. It was definitely 2021 because that was Chicago. It was an awesome find, and now I have two of them that are signed, and that's how I found both of those.
Yeah, because there's no national in 2020, right?
No,
canceled it.
That's why I was thinking it had to have been 2021.
Yeah, so I've been to 19, 21, 22, 23. Yeah, this is gonna be my fifth one.
Yeah,
that's gonna be fun. My next one, actually, my next few cards are boxers. So let me move into baseball. I picked up a 1945 Carmelo Di Porvito of Martin Dihigo. He has earlier cards, but you don't really see that many Cuban baseball card issues out of the National. I want to say I picked up either an authentic or a one. I don't even know if I have that card anymore because I'm pretty sure I upgraded it to a 1.5, but I had to give kind of a shout out to those foreign issue baseball cards. There are some dealers that will have that type of stuff. There's one that sets up with a lot of Cuban cards, and there's also one that sets up with Japanese cards. So if you're looking for Menkos and different things like that, there's a dealer out there for that. But it's something that you're not going to find at most larger card shows. And just walking across the National, the fact that there's only essentially one dealer for each of those categories, and I think it was a pretty good segue into that.
Yeah, well, my next one is big, so I'm going to scoot back a little bit. This was Atlantic City was 2022, right?
Yeah, I think it was.
This was Atlantic City. I know nobody seems to like Atlantic City. I love the Atlantic City show. I don't want to hear any slander for the Atlantic City show. Every time I've been there, I think it's good. I think it gets a different dealer set than you get at Chicago. I think you just get more local New Jersey, Pennsylvania people. I know nobody likes the Atlantic City show. I love it. I've done great at that show. As I mentioned, Bred for Energies and Bred for Health, one of the focus points of my collection. I think they're amazing, rare, whatever. I was walking around, and I actually didn't see it at first. I had actually missed it. I get a text from my dad that said, hey, there is a I'll show it. There is an advertising piece for the Bred for Energy set in somebody's booth. This is one of the original ad pieces that they would put up in the store to show the different players you could get. You can see there's some boxing. There's Joe Folks there. There's John. Is that John Wayne? I think it is.
I think that's the one that has the John Wayne. Yeah, John Wayne.
John Wayne. So it has 16 of them uncut on the sheet. And he said, hey, it's over there. Like, he already has one, so he didn't want it. He said, hey, like, if you want to go get this, there's actually one at the show. I went over there, said, hey, I'd love it. Let's do the deal. And he had said it was already sold, which was a bummer. I was bummed. I went home that night and was annoyed. I gave him my phone number. Said, if anything happens, whatever, give me a call, give me a text, whatever. I get a call the next morning, said, hey, the buyer couldn't come up with the funds. They are bailing on this, or they're going to try to get the money. If you come today in the morning, I will sell it to you. I ran over. I was not going to wait. I went right over there, cash in hand, and picked it up. This is one of my favorite pieces. I love the bigger stuff, and the fact that it has 16 uncut, bread labels on it is pretty sweet. It's got big names on it too. John Wayne. It has Rocky Marciano. It has Joe Folks on it as well for the basketball people. It was a deal that was supposed to fall through and, ended up coming through pretty good. So I can't complain.
I want to get that Rocky and that John Wayne just raw by themselves. But I got to ask, what does that run? Because we've seen from some of our auction recaps, when you have those advertising pieces, they go insane at some of those auction houses.
Yeah, what's interesting is, and I don't know why this is, but the individual ones sell way more than the uncut sheet and advertising piece ones do. I don't know why. Don't know why people pay so much. For context, the Rocky Marciano sold in 2020 by itself for I think $1,500 by
That
itself.
sounds about right.
I paid $1,800 for the whole sheet.
I
don't know why. Now it has sold for more before. I've seen some sales online that I think are close to around 3,000. I might have that wrong, but I think they're around 3,000. I don't understand the math behind paying more for a single than an uncut sheet, on an advertising piece. But for that price, like that's part of the reason I was bummed is I knew it was a deal. And so I scooped it up immediately. It was the first thing I did that morning.
On the non-sports side of things, I'm really curious what that John Wayne would do. Now, John Wayne's first cards were the 1930s. Some of them are pretty unattractive cards. There's one in the late 30s that's pretty rare that I have in my PC. 50s cards have somewhat popularity, but being that it's a rare issue, and especially on the non-sport side of things, I'm not aware of any public John Wayne sales.
I'm not either.
I've never seen that card before you showed me that advertising piece at the time, but I definitely got to grab one eventually.
The Marciano is actually one of the only ones that has ever sold publicly. Very few of them have ever sold publicly. The Buddy Young, which as you saw, I just picked up the other night, last sold publicly in 2006. The Otto Graham has never sold. The Mikan has sold in 2014 for $13,000. I know who has that. If you would love to part with it, I need that card. But very few of them have actually sold. Like I said, they're 20 times rarer on average than the Bred for Health. They are not easy to come across. So I don't know why that sheet, $1,600 was cool with me. But I don't, it was a great pickup in my opinion.
No, that's a phenomenal one. My next pickups are just going to be boxing. We'll go one at a time. So first up, we have a 1935 Patriots. I think that's how you pronounce the set name. I apologize if that's not the way to do it. Of Joe Louis. Joe Louis, I think, is a top 5 fighter of all time. And there's two from 1935 from Patriots. There's the large one, and then there's also the small one. The small one is way tougher to find, and one of those rare cases where a smaller card is worth like a multiple of the larger card. The larger card I have in A7, which I thought is a pretty good grade. You can find 7s out there, but I really wanted to grab one of these, and I was able to find a deal at the National for it, and it's still one of my best boxing cards in my collection.
I'm going to see if I can do these in order from my favorite to not, just because I have a couple left. We're going to see if that's possible. But the next one, I believe this is 2016, which was 2016 was Cleveland, which I think I'm right on this. This was a private pickup, so it wasn't something that was just walking around the National. It is this 1928 Star Player Candy Chick Hafey rookie, a very low pop card, I believe, and I can give you the number, but it is a 4 at SGC, a total population of 4. I don't see any in the PSA, so it's a pop of 4. This is his rookie. Very cool item. I love the Star Player candies. I think they are one of the best sort of candy sets due to their, insane rarity. Like I said, this was a private pickup, so it's not something you could just walk around and found. I did get it for an incredible price. Of course, back then the market was a little bit different, but this is one of the older ones. I think the other card I have is 2015 National. But this one was definitely 2016. I was in college, so I picked it up. But just an incredible item that I'm just so thrilled to have.
And I also heard that you're going to be trying to pick up the Ruth Star Players candy because we know someone that has one.
We do know somebody that has one. He might be watching this video right now.
I bet he is watching this video.
I would not mind the Ruth joining my collection. I have the Cobb. I would not mind the Ruth joining as well. I can't believe there was one that was available to anybody. I feel like I usually have my ear to the Star Player candy stuff pretty easily. I actually texted a bunch of people and said, "Hey, did you sell this?" And they said no. And so I don't know where that gentleman got it, but would not mind grabbing, the Ruth as well.
It lagged a little bit. I know it's my connection right now, but I hope you do get that, and that'd be awesome to see. My next one, we're going to do another Joe Louis, 1935 United Tobacco Company, UTC. The 1935 date is interesting, though. That has been contested by a lot of people. Now, both SGC and PSA still label it as a 1935 card, which by proxy, the first year of Joe Louis cards were 1935. So it's a rookie card. But there's been people online that say this set is really a 1939 release. It is much tougher to find and I picked one up in a 3 that I thought looked really nice. Also, what I've heard is there's 2 different printings of the set too. One might be earlier, one may be later based off of the card stock. The card stock that I picked up on this Joe Louis, I believe, was from the earlier printing. I can't remember how to tell on top of my head. It's been a few years since I've looked at this card, and this is also an Atlantic City pickup, but another one of my rare boxing cards.
What are your thoughts on the Atlantic City show?
You know, I decided to go on a walk, and just middle of the day, I was walking cars, people drunk, and everything like that. It's kind of interesting. Blasting music. I don't know if I've seen that in other cities. Just middle of the day, middle of the week, people are doing that. So,
I will say, the 2016 Atlantic City was much better than the recent one. Atlantic City has clearly gone downhill quite a bit, unfortunately. But I thought it was incredible in 2016. I had a great time. I like the show. The city has had some issues, but I really did enjoy the shows both times.
See, for me, the National, I want to do stuff in the city. Atlantic City, there was nothing for me to do. I understand Atlantic City gets some concerts, but they didn't really have anything that weekend, and I was kind of upset because that weekend at Chicago, they had 2 of my favorite artists playing the same day at Lollapalooza. They had Billy Strings and Metallica. Now, I was really upset because I'm like, man, I could have went to the card show, and then after the card show, went downtown Chicago, seen 2 of my favorite artists, and grabbed a great bite to eat because Chicago is an awesome food scene. And it's like, instead, I went back at Atlantic City and got a $10 slice of pizza that tasted like something worse than I would have made with a frozen pizza out of the discounted grocery store. So
you do stuff at the National. I don't do any. I'm either at the show or I'm in my hotel. Like I
love doing stuff. I have to have some running routes in the morning, and then I have to look for concerts and food places. Like,
yeah,
I always try to make the National into an experience or like a mini vacation. There's the card show side of it, there's the networking side, and then there's like, okay, what do I like doing? I like trying new places to eat. I love running. I love music. So try to always combine all those together. Now, Cleveland, I don't know. Verdict is still out there. For Strongsville, there's a few places near the show, so I didn't really get to travel that much. I am looking at doing the baseball game on, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday. I think Wednesday is the one that's at 7:00. So I may do the baseball game then, but don't really have anything planned yet for Thursday or Friday. May do a vintage non-sports meetup with a bunch of people, but no concerts minus Wednesday, and I'd rather go see the baseball game.
Yeah. Is it my turn? I think it is.
Yeah, your turn.
Cool. Let's see what we want to pick out of these 2. We'll do this one. This was 2015 because it was Chicago. Yeah. This is another private pickup. This wasn't something that was available. I think it would have been available. This is one of the dealers, so it probably would have been available if I had said no, but I literally was never going to say no. This is the 1928 Star Player Candy Lefty Grove. You can see it says Robert M. Grove.
That's the one I want to grab eventually one day.
This is one of my top 4 items in my collection in general. This is considered by a lot of people his rookie. I know he has the 1921 Baltimore set, but people seem to not want to consider that his rookie. I don't know. I'm not going to get into politics around what's a rookie and what isn't.
Those politics behind rookies is so funny in the hobby because it's all different across different sports and also non-sports. But that's a topic for another day.
The reasoning behind the 1921 not being considered as rookie is people say that it's too expensive, which I think is that's a dumb argument. In my opinion, I'm even in the camp, or I was, that's his real rookie, but I will certainly take this as his rookie. It is a pop 3 across all companies. I don't know of any raw ones, maybe one raw one that I've seen, but it is an incredible item. It is one of my favorite pickups. I was in high school So it was a lot of money to pay for being in high school, but it was so worth it. It was, I think, probably one of my only pickups at that whole show. It wiped out my pizza delivery budget at that national, but I was so glad that I grabbed it.
That makes the show though if you find one of those type of cards because you're not finding anywhere else.
I've never seen one again. I've never seen one come up since, so I can't complain.
My next one, which is gonna be my 10th one on the list, another boxing card, but this is a T218 Joe Gans. You might be familiar with the Mecca. There's 2 Jack Johnson in that set, but Gans is considered one of the best pre-war boxers in the early 1910s. I picked up in a 5.5. You can find them out there, but it's a pretty nice grade on that card. And, this got the 10th spot. There maybe been other cards that I should have thrown into the 10th spot, but no, I watched my old YouTube videos for a few days, just trying to quickly see what should make this list. And I saw that. And I'm like, great, this goes onto the list.
Yeah.
I have one honorable mention left though, but let's see what your number 10 is.
Let's see it. And it is probably my favorite card in my collection. It's never publicly sold, so I can't tell you what it's worth or anything. I've received offers on it, so I have an idea if people would pay. This was privately picked up. It's not something that was available. It is the 1951 Bred for Energy Autogram. Probably the second nicest card in the set. The Mycan to me is nicer, although there are more of them. This is the only one ever graded. It's never been graded SGC or PSA until my copy, and I bought mine raw privately. It's one of the pinnacle items that I have. I was so thrilled to pick it up. Like I said, much rarer than the Bred for Healths. Never publicly sold. I do know that there's probably 4 or 5 raw ones. I actually have another one on an uncut sheet that I did not pick up at the National. But I do have, out of that 4 or 5 other ones, I do have another one. But it's one of my favorite items I've ever had.
Yeah, wasn't that your Instagram logo for the longest time too? That card.
It still is. It still is.
I was about to say. I was like, I think the first time we talked, that was your picture on there. I'm like, oh, okay, this is a super rare card. This person knows what he's doing.
It was. That was actually because I made my account the day after the National. That I picked it up at. And I of course, didn't want to talk about anything else other than this card. I picked that up, and then eventually later I picked up the uncut sheet that has him as well.
Phenomenal. My honorable mention is a N184. You guys might know the baseball set with those, the Kimball Champs. I remember from my childhood that they inserted those into, I think it was 2010 or 2011 Topps packs, the minis on there. And I had no idea when I was a kid, they actually made cards like that. So I picked up a Muldoon, had that graded, and it came back A3. Muldoon, very famous wrestler from the 1800s. Baseball players, I can't afford. I have a few other in the set between boxers and stuff like that. But I think that's my highest graded in that set. And again, one of those cards that I bought raw, and it was super cheap. I don't think the dealer knew what they really had.
Yeah. Any final tips for the National? I know we're thinking about doing a full video, but anything you can think of around finding stuff to buy?
Look, most of our pickups between both of us were from private deals. What does that tell you? Networking is so important in this hobby, especially if you go after niche stuff. Now, if you go after general stuff, easy to find, right? You can find any Topps card from the 50s through 70s. Maybe not the error cards. There's some of the different variants out there, but most of it you're going to find at these type of shows. If you want to find the rare stuff, you're going to have to grab those from people's collections, which is why networking is so important. You can go to a trade night and you're going to see some vintage there, but it's going to be mostly modern. You're going to have to start talking to people at tables. Like if you look at someone at a table and they're looking at the same type of cards that you collect, try to strike up a conversation with them. At least try to get their social media handles or email or something like that. Because chances are, if they're going after the type of card that you like, they probably have others back at home. No one goes to the National as their first card show.
Yeah.
I could be wrong on that, but for most people, they're not going to the National for their first show.
I doubt it. I doubt they're going to
unless they're local. I mean, I could see that on the local side of things, but for anyone that's traveling, there's no way.
Yeah.
But we'll make another video also. Well, I'm thinking we're gonna make a video on what we're bringing to the National to trade, because I think it would give another way we can facilitate different deals. So if you see something that either one of us brings to the national and you're interested in it, whether you want to pay for it or trade for that type of card, we'll make it work. But that'll definitely be another video. We'll cover scams as well. It's always a fun one to make. And there's a few other things we're thinking about, but we're 1 week away. It's going to be nonstop uploads on the Breakout channel until then.
Cool.
All right. We'll see you in another video. Make sure to subscribe and see you soon.